They called her Nandi, meaning the sweet one. But there was nothing soft about the woman who would fight, bleed, and lead her way through a ruthless world to ensure her son's place in history. Queen Nandi wasn't born into power. She didn't inherit a crown or rule by decree. She earned her place through grit, courage, and the sheer force of will. Behind the legendary King Shaka Zulu stood this formidable woman, a mother whose fire forged an empire. Her name has too often been overshadowed, but without her, the Zulu kingdom would never have roared to life. Nandi was born around 1760 into the Langeni tribe in what is now modern-day KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. She became known to history not through royalty but through defiance. As a young woman, she entered into a relationship with Senzanga Kona, a Zulu chieftain. When she became pregnant, his people dismissed her, labeling her as promiscuous. But Nandi refused to be shamed. She stood her ground, demanded acknowledgement, and named her child Shaka, after a stomach parasite believed to cause discomfort, mocking the Zulu's accusation that her pregnancy was false. Her strength was clear from the start. In a deeply patriarchal society, she stood up for herself and her son. When she was cast out, she didn't crawl back in humiliation. Instead, she left with her child, moving from tribe to tribe, first with the Mthethwa, then the Kwabi. In these years of instability, Nandi taught Shaka not just to survive, but to endure. Poverty, ridicule, and displacement were part of their daily life. But Nandi remained proud and fiercely protective, planting the seeds of greatness in a child everyone else had written off. Nandi was no passive mother. She shaped Shaka's character with her own resilience. Where others might have buckled, she hardened. She raised Shaka with a sense of destiny, discipline, and vengeance. Her parenting wasn't gentle, it was strategic. She saw what he could become and made sure the world wouldn't crush him before he had the chance. When Shaka entered the service of Chief Dingiswayo of the Mthethwa, Nandi stood behind him, giving him the moral compass and fierce pride he needed to rise through the ranks. Her influence wasn't in titles or armies. It was in how she shaped the man who would change the course of Southern African history. Eventually, Shaka seized leadership of the Zulu people after his father's death. It wasn't an easy transition. Blood was spilled, alliances shifted, and power was contested. But Nandi had been preparing her son for war his entire life. And when he took the throne, he didn't just honor her, he elevated her. He made her queen mother, gave her royal authority, and declared mourning across the kingdom when she died in 1827. Nandi wasn't just the mother of a king, she was the soul of a nation. To understand Shaka's meteoric rise, you must first understand Nandi's influence, not just as a mother, but as a political force. In a time when women were sidelined from leadership, Nandi stood as a beacon of female strength. Her determination to protect Shaka and guide him to power wasn't simply maternal, it was strategic. She navigated the volatile politics of tribal warfare, famine, and exile with intelligence and composure. Even as an outcast, Nandi maneuvered herself into positions of influence. While they were under the Mthethwa's protection, she built relationships with other powerful families. These connections would later support Shaka when he made his move for power. She wasn't just protecting him, she was paving the way. When Shaka claimed leadership of the Zulu, it wasn't just through brute force, it was also through alliances and legitimacy, and Nandi was central to that. As the daughter of a chief and the mother of a rising warrior, she straddled two worlds, noble blood and underdog grit. That duality gave Shaka the credibility he needed to claim the Zulu throne. Once he was king, Nandi didn't fade into the background. She became Queen Mother, a respected position with real influence. Shaka revered her, often stating that his power flowed from her wisdom. He consulted her on major decisions and ensured she had her own counsel. It's said she intervened in matters of justice, mercy, and internal discipline. Her word could overrule his, but her influence wasn't always gentle. Nandi understood that ruling the Zulu meant ruling through fear as much as loyalty. She supported the brutal purges that consolidated Shaka's power. She encouraged his reforms and his military expansions. She understood that empires aren't built on kindness. They're built on control, strategy, and strength. She had lived her life being underestimated. She wasn't about to let her son suffer the same fate. History often forgets the ones who built greatness in the shadows. But Queen Nandi isn't a shadow. She is the fire that forged the Zulu legacy, and her story is far from over. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content.